We did it.
Right. We did it! Yay!
Yay, we're heroes! All right, so let's.
Legend of Zelda music playing.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be talking about Captain America: Brave New World, and let's introduce our guest, Mayday. Mayday, tell us about yourself.
Hey, I'm a non-binary comics creator with Parkinson's, and I've been friends with Ken for a really long time. I recently did a Flash Gordon cover and a G.I. Joe cover, and I've got a Speed Racer cover coming up that I'm really pumped about. And I'm working on a time travel story about trying to stop Elon Musk from taking over the world.
Ooh, timely. I like it.
And more politically responsible and in tune with today than the movie that we watched.
How dare you, sir?
He's out of line, but he's right.
That's for sure.
It's only 2 years old. It still works. Put it in the microwave.
Just reheat. Just reheat.
Yeah, just reheat.
Well, I mean, so that we can definitely start there. I think we said it a little bit earlier. I will start the pod out with saying I enjoyed it. I had a positive experience overall.
A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
But there are caveats and addendums and notes that I think some of us may have. But there's definitely a lot of there's good and potential here, but it's slightly underbaked. But maybe you like it al dente. Maybe that's your jam. But overall, enjoyed it. I think that we're going to dive into some of that right now too, though. So, yeah,
if you stuck the toothpick in, it's definitely coming out covered in dough.
So mise en place just means everything in place. So the no would be don't start the recipe before you check to see if you have all your ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If you were going to take that metaphor further, it would almost to me be like if you had baked a cake and then took out parts of the cake and then tried to make more cake and rebake the parts that were already in there, and you end up with this Frankenstein cake.
So you mean how you're supposed to bake a cake?
Yeah.
Exactly 100% what you would do. Yeah. Okay.
The Disney method.
Yeah.
It does have that glued together from multiple sources and rewrites vibe to it, definitely.
Movie by committee. We do want to mention at the, I don't know, whatever mark we're at right now, this is going to be full of spoilers. So if you don't want any, we'll see you next week. Get the hell out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just making sure people don't get upset. Yeah. Oh, you didn't tell me you're going to go through the movie. I'm like, yeah, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We're
going to
that being said,
plot points.
Pat, can you give us a 2-minute run through of the movie? Point A to point to the end. It's quick. Just give me the highlights so that when we get into the story, we can, at least have a basis.
Thunderbolt Ross has been elected president of the United States, and Captain America has concerns. Captain America's not happy about it. Fast forward for a couple months, Captain America's on a mission trying to stop a terrorist action attack thing by Sidewinder. Turns out that this could be a conspiracy trap thing. Captain America does indeed stop it with his sidekick, the Falcon. Falcon and Captain America are invited to the White House along with Isaiah Bradley, because Captain America says you have to bring Isaiah Bradley because the U.S. government was very bad to him and he should be invited as well. Very nice. They go to the White House. At one point during Thunderbolt Ross's speech, Isaiah Bradley and a couple of the other Secret Service agents go nutso and start shooting at the President of the United States. That's a real problem. I should mention right before that happened, President Ross asked Captain America to reform the Avengers. I'm trying to go fast to keep this under 2 minutes, so I think we're going.
Not interrupting. You're doing good.
All right. Captain America then is brought to see the president and asked to look into what's actually going on, as that would not, Isaiah Bradley would not be the person to try to shoot at him. It doesn't make any sense. Ross says, "You had your chance," and gets all Harrison Ford angry about everything. Captain America opens his own investigation into what is happening. I have to look at my notes now just to make sure that I'm getting everything in there. Sam tries to free Isaiah, and then at that point, Sam opens his own investigation with the Falcon, and they go to find Sidewinder. Sidewinder, played by, I never say his name.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah,
Giancarlo Esposito
Mm-hmm.
captures Sidewinder. Sidewinder gives him a clue as to who the initial buyer was that did not show when they, at the beginning of the movie, when they stopped the terrorist sale of, turns out to be adamantium. Adamantium is our big MacGuffin. In that regard, President Ross's entire political career hinges on a treaty between India, France, and Japan regarding Celestial Island.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
So
the big alien in the planet.
yeah. So the background on this film is you need to have seen the two least popular Marvel films since the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
Very important that you saw the two that most people did not see.
Wait. Incredible
Correct.
Hulk and Thor: The Dark World?
How dare you, sir? Incredible Hulk was good.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
That's no, okay. First off, Incredible Hulk is one of the ones that we're talking about. So
Yes.
that's why I'm saying the least popular. I'm not saying it's the worst. I'm saying it's the least
Eternal.
popular.
I thought you were talking about Eternals and
Yes, I am.
the Captain American show.
Yeah, Eternals has to be the least popular now.
Yeah,
I liked
but
it.
I think
you know.
okay. Wait. So okay, now we're already breaking down points. Pat, you said the least two
Yes,
movies.
because you're being pedantic.
I'm not being pedantic.
said
I'm being
he's-
specific. I'm being correct. Okay.
You're being an
That's
a-hole.
not even correct. But no, Pat said the least
You think
popular
that-
movies.
That Eternals is more popular than Thor: The Dark World.
No, I'm giving up on Thor: The Dark World. That's fine. But I was saying that he's referring to Incredible
Okay.
Hulk.
Yes.
That's where I'm standing. I'm not.
I thought you were talking about Eternals and the Captain America show.
No, not that. And he didn't say show. He said movies. So
I said
get
movies.
that through your brain.
And Incredible
Okay.
Hulk is the most forgotten of the Marvel movies. Not the worst, but the most forgotten. It's the one right after Iron Man that nobody
think
talks
so.
about. What's more forgotten than that one?
They don't rewatch it.
Who rewatches most of these things before the Age of Ultron?
I mean, there's a fair amount of people who do. They go through full movie rewatches. I know someone at work who just started.
Yeah,
and they're going through it.
Okay.
I
So,
do that.
I
Well,
think-
and see, because I had kids, I would often, every few years, kids forget all their movies. So we would start over at the beginning. And sometimes we do like a different version of a rewatch, like just follow Steve Rogers.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. I just would say I don't know if it's forgotten as far as like the way that the MCU kind of shoehorns it into the universe itself. Like there's nothing aside from the cutscene at the very end that ties this movie back into the MCU very much at all. There's no references at all. Like, Banner never makes reference of Betty. Like there's no like, oh, you should have, this is also part of the universe. They just kind of
That's why we're saying it's
go past
forgotten.
it. I'm saying it's not forgotten. I'm saying it's intentional. They start the universe with Captain
I'm not
America.
sure I'm following the difference. They definitely, it's still continuity. I just think from a fan point of view, once they replaced Banner, like
Okay,
Eric Norton,
I would
Edward
say that
Norton
more
with
people-
Mark Ruffalo, people don't go backwards.
Okay,
you know?
I would say more people know the plot of the Incredible Hulk than they do Thor: The Dark World.
Well, that's fair because Thor: The Dark World didn't really have a plot.
It was just like the Loki backstory machine.
Okay.
Like let's give Loki some more screen time because people love Loki, which is fair. Like I think that we've seen now there are, and again, like we're not saying a mark of quality. We're just saying it's
No,
forgettable.
I'm saying as far as forgotten, like if you were to ask someone what was the plot of the Incredible Hulk and what was the plot of Thor: The Dark World, people would be like, oh, okay, he's fighting Abomination. I don't know what the hell happened in Thor: The Dark World.
I think
only
Hulk
reason
Smash
they know-
is the plot
Yeah.
of Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I don't even know if people really like. A lot of people today even saw that movie. Because like I said, a lot of people came over with the Avengers and hadn't seen Cap. They'd seen the Iron Mans. They jumped in Avengers, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll watch Thor." But people,
RDJ, why not?
that's one of the real strengths of the MCU is pulling you into the world so that you go back and watch stuff. But of the movies, Incredible Hulk is one of the ones you can skip easily.
Okay.
Look, and once again, no shade. I actually enjoy that movie. Problem is,
Same.
it is one that they've done a lot to actively kind of like ignore in a lot of ways. So
I don't know if I agree with that as much, just because I love that they've kept Thunderbolt Ross, you know?
I just feel like they've removed Thunderbolt Ross from the Hulk until Hulk was still around. Thunderbolt Ross didn't go at. I just like, nah, he's there. Whatever.
Well, especially after he goes crazy and what you call it, Sokovia or whatever.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah, you think he'd be like right back on that? Like I told you, he was dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, especially if it cost him his daughter.
Well, I mean, after Age of Ultron comes up Civil War when they do the Sokovia Accords.
True.
Yeah.
I
will always enjoy Incredible Hulk because it gives us like a Mike Deodato.
But I mean, there was a scene beyond that, like where they have a meeting after Age of Ultron, right? In the oh god,
Hulk's not there because he leaves after
in the bar.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to get back to something else. But Pat, you finish up.
Okay. I'm going to slow it down a little bit because I think I'm jumping a little too fast. So
no, speed it up and only do the top ones because we're gonna go through the details when we start talking nitpicking stuff. We can go back and fill in stuff. So if you miss something, don't worry about it.
Sidewinder tries to kill Captain America at the behest of the big bad. Sam stops that and defeats Sidewinder. Sidewinder tells him that this is the buyer, and the buyer actually ends up calling Sam and says a lot of spooky stuff. Simultaneously, we're watching President Ross call a military base called Echo 1, saying, "Is that son of a bitch still behind bars?" And he's taking pills. I think that covers that. At the same time, there is an attack at the prison where Isaiah Bradley's being held, and all of the other people that Isaiah Bradley had attacked the president with are shot and killed through what looks like mind control. Cap and Falcon visit Echo 1 base where the call came from, and it turns out that it is Sam Stearns, the leader, or as my wife called him, Mr. Snakestistic, because he looks like a snake and says a lot of statistics.
Gotcha.
I like it.
It's a good.
It's also, I mean, I think of him as Mr. Blue from the comics because of the storyline with the Hulk, and it's also a callback to that was their call signs in the Incredible Hulk. It's also the song that he uses to activate his Manchurian candidates, as it were.
Turns out,
well, and they never call him the leader in this movie.
No,
yeah, they just call him Samuel Stearns.
Well, they call him the buyer. You know.
Oh yeah, the buyer, Samuel Stearns, or. Do they even call him Mr. Blue, or is it just my own?
I feel like he's to earn the title leader, though. He hasn't done anything to earn it.
He's earned it, but he hasn't earned it. But he also no one. Well, that's the thing too. Is like we call it Celestial Island. Like who told them that was a Celestial? Like where? Like none of the Eternals kind of.
No, the Eternals they left a note on it. Didn't you see the note?
They put a post-it note. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good.
My bad. I'll be back to clean this up later. They put the post-it note. They flew off into.
I'm pretty sure somebody.
No, but just from a writing point of view, they definitely could have called him the leader by referring to him like, "We've got to catch the guy behind this. Who's the leader?" You know. But instead, they just call him the buyer like 400 times.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure they called him Snake. They called him Snake-tistic at one point. Pretty sure.
I think
I didn't see that.
Let's put it this way, Pat. They called him that more times than they called him the leader.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was in the Brave New World cut, or the New World Order cut.
The New World Order cut?
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan just in the background with a fake beard was going to get that joke in there at some point.
There you go.
Turns out,
you did it.
Yeah. Turns out, Sammy Stearns, as I call him, has snuck mind control triggers into I guess everybody, like the world. And if he plays the song Mr. Blue, he can take people over and make them do his bidding, which is normally to like shoot at somebody. While they are at Echo Base 1, Sam discovers files on Ross. Surprising. Something's going on there. So, you know, yeah, that's going to be tough. Ross has actually kept Stearns locked up forever and had promised him that he would let him go free after he won election. And then shockingly didn't do that because, you know, it kind of keeps the plot moving. So he did not do that. In the meantime, while that is going on, Ross has gone to Japan to help renegotiate the peace treaty. And turns out Japan has evidence that the U.S. actually is the one that stole their adamantium and was the one setting everything up behind the scenes and then stole it back so that they could look like heroes. And it's all a big old kerfuffle of conspiracy.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
So from there, that leads to relations between Japan and the U.S. breaking down. Sam and the Falcon and the new person from the Widow program, Ruth.
The Red Room?
Yes, the Red Room program.
Not Sabra or Sabra, but Ruth, which that's a discussion for a later point. Let's keep
going. We're going to get into that too.
The 4'11" murderous assassin who I could not believe could actually physically punch a person. I'm sorry. There is a limit. 4'11", too short. Can't.
Is she 4'11"? I thought she was.
Yes.
No,
I looked this up.
She's tiny. She's super tiny.
Yeah. I mean, she's tiny. I know, but I was just like, yeah.
So,
carry on.
All right. From there, Japan decides they're going to go to Celestial Island to make their claim. So Ross, who was a wartime general, sends a U.S. carrier to also make his claim for the U.S. of Celestial Island. Falcon uploads a program to stop the mind control from working.
Falcon's a genius.
They just kind of wave like, oh, no, I can fix it with science and computers and MIT or something.
Man, you should be going to MIT or something.
Fixes that problem, except he didn't do it fast enough. Sam and Falcon go out to the aircraft carrier to let Ross know what's going on, but two of the pilots, along with Ruth, along with Ruth, they all go out to the aircraft carrier to let Ross know what's going on. Ross is not happy and angry in general. And two of the pilots go AWOL and take their fighter jets off and US pilots and shoot at the Japanese fleet because they are still under mind control because, he just missed it. He had counteracted the programming, but just missed it a little bit. So there's a pretty fun and exciting little action scene where Sam and Falcon have to stop the pilots and get them to eject and stop them from attacking Japan. They do so, though Falcon is badly injured in the process. From there, yes, Falcon's badly injured in the process. They're able to stop it. At the same time, Ross receives a phone call from Sammy Stearns, who's trying to talk him into getting angry, some might say heated, because Red Hulk gets hot. See what
okay, I see what you did there.
I mean, if that were the reason.
You got the drift. Yes. So Cap does end up confronting Ross about everything. Ross admits that he had kept Stearns captive because he was dying due to a heart condition and had Stearns cure him. He had promised Stearns that that Ross would release him once he won the presidency. Ross obviously did not do that because he's not a good person and Stearns is very dangerous. So Stearns has made it his mission to ruin Ross's life and reveal what he truly is to people. Turns out Stearns had been giving Ross basically massive gamma pills filled with gamma to fix his heart condition and also turn him into a crazy gamma monster.
Oh, damn.
So that's fun for everybody. We cut to Falcon is having surgery. Sam feels bad about it, and we get a Bucky appearance at that point, who comes in and gives him a pet talk. Evidently, Bucky's running for Congress. Sure, why not? Doesn't really work. Doesn't really work with Thunderbolts. Feel like no one set of writers didn't talk to the other set of writers.
No, that's exactly. It's setting up for that. He's a congressman in. I mean, this is spoilers for a trailer. Yeah, he's.
Oh, I didn't realize.
They vote him in. Yeah, So
all right,
we're going to talk about how that even works and how Wakanda is feeling about that.
they're feeling great. They got an insider now. Yeah, insider. Got somebody they can call. Trust me, I know how the people are running against him. At this point, God, this is longer than 2 minutes. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
Hey, you're almost there. You're almost there.
Bucky gives Sam a pep talk. Ruth comes in and kind of eye fucks Bucky. Then we get to the kind of big ending of the movie. Ross has been able to kind of talk everybody down with Japan and India and France, and they're resetting the peace treaty. At that point, as Sam is walking out of the hospital, Sam Stearns
they pull a Batman 2 on this one.
Yeah. Sam Stearns turns himself in, says, "Hey, good, I'm out. You got me. You caught me." Yeah, and then Sam is able to take over the PA system at the White House, which is notoriously easy to break into, and play the call where Ross is admitting that he has kept Stearns hostage. Ross flips out, wants to explain to the press what's going on as he was in the middle of press briefing, and gets so angry and so enraged he turns into the Red Hulk. We're finally here. So now the Red Hulk destroys half the White House, has a big old fight with Captain America, and basically is only able to be defeated by Sam talking him down and reminding him that go ahead.
And cherry blossoms.
And reminding him.
We'll talk about why that's important.
Yeah, reminding him that all he wanted through all of this was to prove to his daughter that he was a good person and to walk under the cherry blossoms with her. And wouldn't that be nice? And maybe you shouldn't murder Captain America, who's just a normal man, unless he doesn't need to be a normal man for the plot, but then is a normal man. And
no,
so
he didn't
Ross,
take serum. We know that.
No, he didn't take serum. They say it a lot. Didn't take serum. Didn't take serum. Like, gets blown up 7 times. Didn't take serum. It's fine.
Nope. Stabbed
Ross
twice.
Calms down. You get hot, shirtless Harrison Ford with cuts all up on him.
He belongs in him.
Well, he ends up there. Movie flash forwards to kind of just a news program saying, well, U.S. is getting back to normal. Ross admits everything he did and is a prisoner in the raft, which for those that remember from Captain America Civil War was the thing he imprisoned. Bucky imprisoned all of Cap's team, including at that point Sam Falcon. Falcon goes to visit, says, "Hey, it's okay. I still believe in you." Liv Tyler shows up to reprise her role as Betty Ross. We get a happy ending. Hey, hooray, yay, we did it. Then we get one of the worst post-credit scenes I can imagine in a Marvel movie. That's it. That's what I got. Cut a bit
It's worth noting for the pedants at home that Shira Haas's height is actually 5'2". But that's just
I have it at 4'11" here.
I have from Wikipedia that she is 5'2". She's not.
I'll fix that right now.
When's the last entry? Who was it by? Was it by her? Because I don't trust it.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
she looks shorter than Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson's what, like 5'3"?
I don't know what to tell you, bro. I internet there.
Nevertheless, okay. Oh, do we want to start with her? Since you brought her up, do we want to start with her?
Before we can start with her. I mean, we should start with.
Do you have anything you would like to add first? Anything that you want to jump into? I will follow your lead.
Well, I mean, the thing that was super noticeable to me in the movie was just the added scenes. Like every time a shot didn't make sense with the visual language of the previs setup action sequence. Like, for example, like the scene where Leader confronts Sam outside of the hospital where Falcon is. Like that whole sequence obviously reshoots. The one shot of Falcon in the water looked like a reshoot. Just stuff like that, where it would just really pull me out of it. I felt the same way about Liv Tyler's appearance. Liv being mentioned constantly, like the amount of Betty references to set up her showing up at some point was so telegraphed. Just my feeling watching it, because there are a lot of things that I thought were really cool. I love Sam Wilson. I love his redesigned cap suit that he gets halfway through this. I love Giancarlo Esposito, so like I was pretty hyped for this movie, and there were a lot of things that I think that turned out okay. But it's killing me not to know what the original version of this was gonna be, and if it had a point, you know.
It does feel like there are pieces.
Also, I took off my Captain America sweater, but I do have my Captain America figure here. Yeah,
very nice.
It does feel like there are pieces of a more poignant movie that got cut around so that to appease a quote unquote wider audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, then that's going to be where a lot of us, because most of us here and maybe some of the listeners have seen different reports. I mean, just going from the fact that we do know that it was initially called New World Order and now it's called Brave New World. There's been a lot of changes. I mean, I feel like it's a fever dream that I had that Giancarlo Esposito was initially given the title of GW Bridge, which is a character in the comics, but him being Sidewinder was like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. They're doing Serpent Society, but because I do know there's supposed to be another iteration where they had a wrestler as another member of the Serpent Society,
Yes.
Which I think, Pat, you've got some wrestling bona fides there to throw in the ring.
I believe it was Seth Rollins was the wrestler that was going to be in the film.
Yeah, and so and also, like, if you look at the McDonald's toys, we had Diamondback that was potentially going to be in the movie before they got cut, and it's like there's lots of different pieces, kind of like, I don't know if who's going to, yeah,
Okay.
like there's lots of different pieces that they kind of fell off of the movie or whatnot. It feels, and there's definitely points where they're like, well, we've got to have this point in here because what if they didn't watch Falcon and Winter Soldier? To which I say, well, forget them. They should have just watched it. It was free on Disney Plus. You should have already been watching it because we're all nerds here and we should just watch these shows anyways. And I think that Falcon and Winter Soldier was better than this. I think that Malcolm Spellman was able to say more and have more of a story he was trying to tell come across in that TV show, which, given he had a lot more time in the TV show to do that. But that also got cut to pieces due to like the pandemic, and we had different things that changed there. So even that wasn't like a complete, like, his story that he wanted to tell. Whereas this feels even more so where it's like, it feels kind of toothless. Like this is an opportunity where you can kind of say something about the people in power and whether we trust them or not. And in the end, we get the fictional idea of a president accepting responsibility for something. And this is all make believe now. I was on board at that
point. He's out of line, but he's right.
So I don't know. It's I preface everything with I enjoyed it overall, but there's definitely, like, you can see the seams a bit, and you're like, oh, what was over there? What was that missing piece that's been cut and re-sewn together? And yeah, and there's lots of little bit. By the way, I didn't know if everyone knew that we got D-Man in this movie, and he got killed, and we didn't get him. Oh, another thing too. Remember, because we were talking about this in a group chat, that we almost got Amadeus Cho played by Logan Kim from the Ghostbusters films, and I'm like, I love podcasts. He was awesome, and Amadeus Cho can be fun. So, right? I'm like, oh, that's such a cool, because he was supposed to be who D-Man calls and says, oh, I've got to tell you something about these pills, and then Samuel Stern's like, I'm gonna kill you with the brain thing, make your heart explode, and like, okay, like, I didn't feel, I don't know, I never felt really threatened by Samuel Stearns. Like, he didn't feel like a good bad guy, because he was just kind of like, and if the idea is like, oh no, I want the president to acknowledge his heirs and publicly face retribution for this. Okay, but then you also have all these other pieces of collateral that you're fine with letting people die, and quite frankly, you put Isaiah Bradley in a bad position, and I hate you forever no matter what. So I can never be on your side because you hurt Isaiah Bradley, and he is one of the best parts of this movie. Like, I love Isaiah Bradley as a character, period. Like, when Red, White, and Black came out, that was a great series. And then, like, we got that in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I feel like we got more of that in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we got some here too. But like, I got so much more emotion in that show for him than I did here. So I don't know, I'm all across the board here, folks. Please feel free to jump in now. I ran out of steam.
Yeah, I'll jump in. There were, I think I put in my notes, there are about 3 different movies here. And I think the writers needed to pick one and expand it on that. Or if you're going to do the 3 movies, do a better seeming of the whole 3. The stories that I was seeing that I noticed that could have made for really good ones, obviously the Cap situation, but I was thinking if you were to introduce a lot of versions of the normal hero and then play on the idea that they were kept saying like, hey, we're not doing the serum. Like, so I was saying, because you have Isaiah Bradley already there, why not bring in Patriot as a storyline? Why not have, Cap basically auditioning Falcon and Patriot for the new Avengers? Like, you have that level of like, hey, these are guys that don't have powers that will need to work together to accomplish something. The second story I saw was this need to be a Hulk story. Like you shoehorn Cap in here and he's an afterthought. We get more motivation of why Ross is doing things than we do Cap being a leader or earning the title of Captain America. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's one thing too. Like at the very beginning, his slogan is "Together," and like there's questions with me being like, what are we trying to pull unity here now all of a sudden? Unity. But also instead of together, it's to get her. His entire point is to get Betty, to get her, and that's I'm like, was that intentional or just
they 100%
me overthinking it too much?
No,
okay.
I think you're right, but again, this is where. Again, part of the second story thing, if this were a Hulk movie, this would have made more sense. We had the pieces for, and I think this is where we start to see the fact that they don't have the foresight that they had for the first 10 years of Marvel stuff, where they were like, hey, even as they were making stuff up, it was easy to pull things in and say, okay, this will work here, this will work here. Because we had MODOK, and we have the leader. We could have the potential loss of Betty, which would explain why we have a Red Hulk. The one thing I was very upset with in this movie, because I'm a Hulk fan, is they never explained Red Hulk. They made him seem like he was just a red version of Green Hulk.
Since when were they red?
That Cap had to talk him down. I'm like, he speaks English, like he's got cognition, like he can talk to.
Not this version. He's just
exactly.
He's just a red smashy Hulk man.
He burned through his clothes.
That's the only thing. But again, that's the only difference that they didn't explain on why he did that. And I'm going to get into details that could make more sense on why he was Red Hulk and how that works, and they can briefly explain why he's different than the green one. Other than that, one reporter's like, "Oh, they come in red now." That was funny, but I'm like, there's still like you still need to explain like he's not just a red version of him. He has benefits and deficiencies that the other Hulk doesn't have. They need to be explained. It would have made for a great movie anyway. Third story was we have adamantium and mutants. The mutant story got dropped because they didn't want to deal with the Mossad aspect of what's her name, but
Opera.
I think right. But they mentioned adamantium quite a bit, and I was like, you have that storyline of like, let's get to the Celestial and the reason why we need to get this stuff. And I think you could have used her as a bad version. Like my idea of the storyline would have been an escalating series of difficulties that pushes Sam to be like, have that question that he has with Bucky, like, should I take the serum? And she would have been the first one or one of the first ones to be like, hey, he's going up against things that. She's supposed to have, super strength and agility and stuff like that. So when he fights against her, it's like, okay, I, almost died fighting her. Should I have taken it? And then he gets to the Hulk and it's like, all right, well, I need everyone's help. I need Patriot's help. I need Isaiah's help. I need Falcon's help. We all, I don't need to take the serum. I just need people around me to help supplement this. We're a team. We're going to take this together. That's why we'll never need to take the serum to be a one-man show. I think that's the story I was going with.
Then leads to
that's such a good point.
Go ahead.
So the serum is the friends we made along the way.
Essentially, yes,
that's fine. I'm okay with that. It just I will. It should be noted too that at one point that Malcolm Spellman did speak to Patriot was, or at least the character was in one early iteration of the script, but ended up being cut for pacing, and which it's understandable. There's a lot going on in this film, and like you to the point, it's three different character stories all at once. So yeah, you kind of have to figure out what comes in where. So
that's what I'm saying. To this point, like I think if you were to take the knobs, if there were actual movie knobs, and you were to tone down Hulk, because you really only show him for 5 minutes at the very end. You don't need to necessarily have a whole storyline with him and turn up the Captain America / restarting the Avengers / like you can still play on the, hey, do you work for the government or are you like the everyday man? And you could have Isaiah Bradley training Patriot to be like, hey, never be part of the government, no matter what they ask you to do, because this is how they'll treat you. I'll treat you to be a vigilante on the side or whatever. And then, Cap coming and saying, hey, we need everybody's help. I'm going to bring everyone into the fold. We're going to do things differently under my leadership. Like at the end of the day, I wanted him to be Cap the leader, and he just still seems like he's Batman with a sidekick versus.
I mean, after
you're so right about that being such a better approach to the theme, and it would have made the contrast with Ross's campaign slogan make more sense. Because he at the end would be trying to do things as a one-man wrecking ball, and Cap having to have a team. There was apparently concept art showing Isaiah Bradley in some sort of costume, and cool. Sabra was obviously supposed to be in her outfit. I don't know.
I mean, well,
that would have been awesome.
It's worth noting. I think on the deck of the aircraft carrier, you can see under Ruth's jacket, she has her suit on still. Oh God, I had a thread and I lost it. So I'm sorry. Carry on.
Well, I'll keep talking, or let Pat go. Just
yeah,
thoughts about it.
I was just gonna say, if you want to make a Hulk movie, make a Hulk movie. Like this was a Hulk movie that you threw Captain America, and I wholeheartedly agree. I do wonder what happens in a little morbid if William Hurt doesn't pass away. What does this movie look like? Because I feel like I don't know, because I feel like the moment they got Harrison Ford, it becomes we have Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
we have to up his screen time.
Well, I see we know from leaked stuff that Hulk was supposed to die in that fight with Cap at the end, just because there were leaks of a funeral scene with Betty. And while I don't know if that would have been better or what, but I do think that thematically having the new Captain America kill the president of the United States would be so massively controversial and interesting as a thing to happen,
And given the current climate, they probably, we can't have the black Captain America kill the angry president.
The red president.
My ghetto side was going, stomp this motherfucker out right here. The fuck is wrong with him?
I remembered what I was going to say too, was that after because to the point that Isaiah does say you shouldn't work with the government XYZ, after President Ross calls Sam's son with a hard R, I think that's where it kind of sealed the deal. That excuse, he's like,
son.
you know Steve Rogers. He's like, time for you to go, son. I'm like,
So you better wise up, son.
Son, you call it son.
Well, see, this is the other thing. Like I had issue with, again, enjoyed the movie, but I had issue with the way that they kind of retcon the love of Cap that apparently what the
intense moment.
Hello.
The love that what's his name has for him, because I'm like Cap and Sam and Cap were on the same team of defying what's his name. So I'm like, he shouldn't there's no you're not Cap. I'm like, he should hate them both equally.
Yeah.
There's nothing that he likes about him. There's no there should be no love lost between the two of them. He's like, I don't like either one of you because you guys don't listen. And they should both be suspicious of each other. Like, hey, I gave you orders and you disobeyed me. Your orders are wrong and I don't trust you. And they should still have that. But it seems like he somehow forgave Cap and doesn't like him because racism or something.
Well,
right.
I will also, I'll say to that, they kind of make sure, But also, if you're trying to show Ross as actively trying to return over a new leaf, you good, Kareem? You got your?
I think so. I think I've said.
All right. If you're actively trying to show him turn over a new leaf, the easiest way to do that is to have him build a relationship with Captain America in that regard. Like, hey,
I do think that the justification. I do think that the justification that they included that everybody was snapped, and the Avengers brought half the population back. All of that led to Ross becoming president, even if he doesn't have any love lost for the Avengers in general. The idea that he's seen that his own political aspirations benefit from their wins might have led
Right,
to him thinking
but
the
it
Avengers
just
need to
seemed
reform.
it seemed really random to have selective homage towards Cap though, because there's nothing. Because if it wasn't for Falcon showing up, Cap would have died in that battle against Thanos. It wasn't like, oh, Cap was the only
Absolutely.
person to survive it, and that's the reason why. I'm like, no, Falcon shows up to like, and everybody else to like, basically,
Yeah.
there were cameras on the field, he can be like, oh, Cap was the reason why. Damn it, Cap is the reason why everyone's alive. It's like, no, I showed up with everyone else to help this guy out. We're all on the same page. You should either like both of us the same, or distrust both of us evenly.
Well, he also is liking the concept of Captain America now, who is not there. He likes the old Captain America because the older one's not there to tell him no.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah, that
this
makes
is
sense.
also
Well, and I also think like saying you're not Steve Rogers anymore. You could take that, or you're not Steve Rogers, not as you're not my friend Steve Rogers, but you won't have like the public support that Steve Rogers had.
You're right.
Wake up, nigga.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that he's at some point it does. I saw on the screen it's PO instead of being POTUS, it was President-elect of the United States of America, because it was still like in an interim phase. I was kind of unclear because he'd won the election, but at one point in the war room, instead of just saying POTUS, it said it was PEOTUS. So I'm like, wait, is this still like an interim phase in which he still hasn't been sworn in yet? It's kind of unclear because this is also after the fallout from Secret Invasion, where Dylan Dermot Mulroney, president, decided to take off. He's like, no, I hate all these Skrulls, and he's now gone. So like and of course they didn't speak to what party any of the president was on. They didn't speak to running mates, so we don't know who the VP was for this. So VP Samuel Stearns we don't know any of like that. It's very kind of toothless in that way to be like, oh hey, just gonna bring in the next president. Like, who's doing what? How do we have any?
Well,
who's in control of this? Is it Doge? We don't know.
Part of probably. And you want to get into it. I was saying, like, as part of again the story that I would have liked to have focused on was, again, you have the leader puppeting, a lot of the obviously political aspects, but I think what you do is you have him hire the Mossad agent to go around grabbing the adamantium and killing international entities, and having the leader then offer, and I think you still keep Thaddeus as like your Secretary of Defense, basically. Instead of giving him the presidency, you give him the Secretary of Defense, and you have him basically try and initiate wars, talking to the president, like, hey, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. We really need to go to war for this. And again, this is all being manufactured by the leader. He's putting things in place because he wants to basically, based on the cutscene that Pat was talking about, he's seeing this as the greater good. Like, I need to get all that adamantium to prepare for what we're about to get into. And we can't having rogue nations have it. I'll kill for whatever I need to get all of it, and we can claim it. The U.S. has the biggest military to claim it. I need to put into motion that, because again, for whatever reason, he's getting all the adamantium to prepare for secret wars or whatever. That's his plan, misguided as it may be. I thought that would have been a better story. And again, that's how you get Sam chasing down the Mossad agent, because she's going around killing everybody. So it's him versus her. He gets beat up by her, and he's like, hey, you know what? I almost died because she's a mutant and has special abilities. Should I take the serum? And Bucky's like, no, just keep going at it. And then you get your next escalation, which is the Hulk. And he's like, all right, Bucky, you were fucking wrong. Like, I need some help here. And it's like, well, you don't need the serum. You just need more people around you.
What made me think I could follow that? I should have took the serum. Like Steve, like you.
Why?
Because this is all starting to seem much bigger than me.
And that's where you get him kind of saying, like, all right, now I need to form the Avengers because of stuff like this.
It's also weird to me that he's like, oh, should I have taken the serum? It's like, there was no point in Falcon and Winter Soldier where that someone said, hey, here's the serum, you should take it. And like they weren't able, like the Flag Smashers had some extra vials. Those ended up getting smashed. So there's only just like one left. And that's what John Walker takes. So it's like, they weren't handing that out to you either. So it's not like you had the option to be like, oh, I turned it down. Like, no, you didn't. They didn't hand you at any time a vial saying, hey, you should shoot up and become the next Captain America. So
I
that
think
was
it's
weird in my
implied that they
head.
can make more of it somehow.
But yes and
I'm
no, because
really
that's
on board with this Kareem idea, though. Like, of I know I already basically agreed with this, but the idea that Sam could have brought the team together could have shown exactly why Steve chose Sam to be the new Cap. You know, did you guys watch Batman Brave and the Bold, the kids cartoon?
I didn't get a chance
some of
to.
it.
No, that's it.
Some
So
of it.
that show
Thinking about the
was
finale.
well, no, the show was run by James Tucker, who, you know, had worked with Bruce Timm on a bunch of other stuff, and is, I think, just a really good guy who understands superheroes. Okay, so at one point, Batman fights Darkseid, who's come to Earth, and the scene is eerily similar to the Endgame scene, where it ends up being Cap versus Thanos and his entire armies, and he's just a guy, you know. So Batman, no powers, and then Darkseid and all of his forces. And I watched this with my son Emmett when he was like 4 or 5, you know, and was learning about superheroes. And I said, you know, I paused it because I'd already watched the episode when I was showing it to him. I said, you know, a lot of people think Batman doesn't have any superpowers, but he has one. And he says, what? And I said, he's got friends. And then I pressed play, and then the members of Batman's extended friendships show up to help him fight Darkseid, which is very similar to what happens in Endgame, right? So you totally could have had Sam pulling together so many of these people that he has relationships, including, by the way, Ant-Man, who should have been in this movie and gotten called Tic Tac, you know?
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
I don't know. Yeah, but that would have totally sealed the deal with that kind of Portals moment of like, that's why it's this guy.
But I would hazard a guess they don't want to do that for this movie. I think that is a really good way in the way they should have gone. But I can already hear the discussions in the Disney Tower of movies. Like, no, we have to save that for the next Avengers. We can't use that here. We got to wait, and we need that to belong to Doctor Strange or Spider-Man, because there are our faces. So,
well, there were some other things. I want to also make note that we have gamma pills now. Those are a thing.
Yes,
and they weren't explained like how this works exactly. So it seems like anybody can just take them over a long period of time and become a Hulk.
Fun
with varying degrees of
hopelessness,
I guess, which is weird. I'm like, were you guys going to explain any of that? This is the other reason, part of the other story that I had in my head about how we explain the Red Hulk, which is you give Ross cancer and you let him get chemo with gamma so that he's absorbing radiation, which makes sense for Red Hulk and why he's different and how his Hulk works versus like we're giving pills and he just happens to turn red versus green. And I say if you give him cancer,
do you think it's funny that it's yet another sorry, man. It's yet another villain story that wouldn't exist if not for the constant failure of the American medical system.
You're absolutely, yeah. Seems like that is the greatest of all evils.
Yeah, a 5-star general can't even get the proper treatment through the VA, so he has to turn to Samuel Stearns.
Right.
He has to turn to a private probably a concierge medicine doctor, and
that he has to go basically enslaved.
Gotta go out of network for that stuff to save my life.
Yeah, which again, I was hoping, as I was rewriting the stuff in my head, is again, you have the leader give him that special chemotherapy, which again explains why he's Red Hulk and can absorb versus that, and it maintains his intelligence as well.
But then
we gave him pills.
You don't get the cool scene of him having to like eat the pill because he's getting angry. He's like, I better take my anger pill. Oh, damn, Chewbacca.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's just again, I think you've also introduced, if who knows, they may never even acknowledge this again, that those pills again are something that could just basically be given to people to be like, all right, you're going to turn into a Hulk now. You're going to turn into a Hulk versus the chemo being specialized. Like this is the only machine that was used on Ross in order to do this thing.
I mean, that's also where we have the fact that we were supposed to potentially have Amadeus Cho in here. Is that's who D-Man sent off the pills to, and so now Amadeus could be totally awesome Hulk / Brawn. who we could get. But again, like that's just tying in more comic book knowledge.
I mean,
And to a certain
he
degree,
or
like
anybody else who finds the pills.
and that's also like clicking other things in my head too. Like didn't make sense to me as a watcher of some media with presidents, of the idea that Ross can just take pills quietly and no one's noticing that, or like he's on an aircraft carrier and he can just quietly step aside and crush a thing. And like there's like every bit of media I've seen is that no, there's basically someone with the president at any given moment. Maybe when he's in the residency, he has time to himself, but otherwise there's always an agent with him keeping him safe.
Well, that
and
too,
including agents that at the end when he's like, no, let me go, I want to talk about this. He starts to hulk out and they're just like, well, let's just shoot the president. That's the thing to do. They go from like, no, Mister, okay, we're gonna just shoot the president. Like this is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do as a Secret Service agent. Like, what are we doing here?
Mr. Blue, when you say you love me.